Warning, Prospect Watch is not your average hockey podcast, and that's okay with us. Our goal is to introduce you to stars in the making from all over the world. They may not be household names yet, but we assure you they will be soon enough. Welcome to Prospect Watch. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the next episode of Prospect Watch with your host, Lance Green.
Okay, guys. This past weekend, myself and Steel were honored to be able to cover the Eastern Regional Tournament for the NCAA Men's Hockey Championships Regionals for the Easterns. And boom, boom, boom. There we go.
Four, baby. Yeah,
now they're on to the Frozen Four, right? Great weekend. Always a pleasure covering the NCAA tournaments. They treat us very nice, I have to say. I was fed very well. I appreciate that. Yeah.
Man. First of all, let me just say this. I would like to say a big, huge thank you to the PPL Center for hosting such an amazing event. They were first class all the way through.
Top notch,
Yeah, it was definitely top notch. From everybody from security to the elevator guy to, it's just top notch when you go there to cover a game, whether it be for the Phantoms or whether it be for one of the regional tournaments there for the NCAA Frozen Four. And I'll tell you what, yours truly and the great editor-in-chief Lance Green were in the house covering games on Friday and Sunday. Got to see UConn make their first appearance in a regional to even be considered. They were part of the Sweet 16, right? You know what I mean? So that was really cool to see them. It was really cool seeing Maine come in there and play really, really well. We got to see some great hockey players, which we're going to get into in this show.
Sure.
So that's what we're going to do here, folks. We're going to talk about our coverage, Prospect Watch's coverage of the NCAA semifinal championship games in Allentown, Pennsylvania, where Lance Green and yours truly, Ron SteelFlyers, were down there covering the game as media. And, well, Lance, let's just say this. First of all, we'd like to say a huge congratulations to Penn State for making it to the Frozen Four for the first time in club history. So congratulations to Penn State.
For sure.
Also big, huge congratulations to UConn for their first time ever being in this tournament and playing very, very well. You know what I mean? So before we get into everything here, folks, thank you all for joining us. If you like what we do, please hit the like and subscribe. We really would appreciate that for sure. Big props and thanks to Spreaker for getting us out there to all of the podcasting platforms. And big props and thanks to, of course, the main man, the editor-in-chief, Mr. Lance Green. So here we go. Our NCAA Frozen Four semifinal championship coverage in Allentown, Pennsylvania. Lance, we already talked about kind of the atmosphere and everything, but you got to cover the game on Friday, and I was there on Friday, and then I was there on Sunday.
Right.
So talk to me about what it was like when you got to be just sitting there to take that atmosphere in.
Well, it's a heck of an atmosphere. The collegiate games are so much different than, a professional game when you have the student section just riled up and you have the bands, going against each other in the stands. And it's just really, really cool atmosphere. Their fans are so passionate, and in it, to win it. And, so many fans from, I believe, Maine traveled well.
And UConn as tournament. Well, yeah.
UConn had some people there for sure. More than just the families of the players. They had people travel down, in droves to these games. And and man, I mean, it was some great hockey. Steel. I mean,
Phenomenal hockey.
UConn took the first game 4-1 over Quinnipiac. And I really liked UConn's Hudson Schroeder, 24-year-old center. Man, I mean, this season he's had 10 goals and 31 assists for 41 points. He was a plus 21. He's 24 years old. He's a little bit older, but still, you were in that press room with me after the game. He just spoke like a true professional, man. I think he elevated everybody's game on UConn because they look to him because he has been in these big tournaments before with other teams. And, he just kind of led them all the way, to the game against Penn State to see who would go to the Frozen Four there. And, UConn's goalie as well. I think Callum did great. 21-year-old goalie, first year there, and just signed an entry-level contract with the New York Rangers, is going to report to their AHL team. That just broke a little bit before we jumped on here. And, I mean, he was phenomenal. Really, really carried UConn in that final game against Penn State. I mean, overtime hockey, guys. It doesn't get much better than that.
Nope.
And, I mean, he held him down. I mean, I think UConn definitely was a team that people weren't thinking to win that first game against Quinnipiac. Quinnipiac is a team that's been here and done this and won national championships. And Penn State is a much better team, but I think as big name talent, they got some big name drafted players on their team, and like Aiden Fink, who had an amazing year, and up for Hobie Baker, former guest of this show as well, that we got to see and catch up with. So
it was great.
That was cool. Yeah. Big fan of his still. And, now we're going to get to watch him in the Frozen Four. So
I'm here to tell you now, going back to what you were talking about with Callum Tongue.
Yeah.
In the press conference, that's one of the things that they even talked about, how he was one of the main reasons why they were even there.
For sure.
And you could see this guy, man, I'll tell you what, he was basically standing on his head because the first two periods of the championship game, Penn State was peppering him, and they were up 2-1 in shots by the end of the second period. The third period was a completely different game where UConn said, oh, yeah, well, here's what we got. And they completely caught up to Penn State and even was leading Penn State by the end of the third period by 44 to 40 shots. So UConn started a little slow, and they got that fluky goal there at the beginning. You know what I mean? Like, it was like it bopped up over his head and everything. Yeah. You know what I mean? We're like, oh, wow, okay. How is it? But in their game against Quinnipiac, Callum Tongue was the one in that game too. Okay, and they just laid the smackdown on Quinnipiac. You know what I mean? So UConn was a good team. I don't think anybody was expecting them to be there. Exactly what you said, Lance. There was a lot of feistiness there. I mean, for teams that don't really see each other that much, Penn State doesn't really play, UConn. So for them to not see each other at all, really, and then to have the chippiness that was there, the physicality, the finishing of checks. I mean,
you would thought they were rivals or something.
Yeah. Or so that's what I'm getting at, right? See, so it was some of the most exciting hockey I think we've seen in quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely good hockey, man. These teams get better and better, like we've been saying. The USHL is getting better and better, talent-wise, and more talent who Penn State's going to have to face here as we look ahead to the Frozen Four, where Boston University,
that is no joke.
University of Denver and Western Michigan, which we'll get into here in a little bit, I think. But it's going to be a true test for him for sure. Moving on now, it's one thing to win this regional and move on, but man, they're suited to go up against Boston U, and Boston U's got some players. So
I mean, that university, as far as we're concerned, is stacked. They've got already drafted players on that team, way more so than what Penn State has. Penn State only has like a handful of players
I
that are
think I
drafted.
think Boston U has 14 players on the roster that has already been drafted.
Okay, I rest my case, right? You
Right.
know what I mean? And Denver and Western Michigan, both of those clubs have some guys on their teams as well too that are already drafted, and both of those clubs too are substantial clubs that are regularly part of the rotation
Oh
here.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
They're big schools that have been here and been involved in these games before. But I mean, if you look at Penn State's next competition here is in Boston University. I mean, you see guys like Cole Hudson's name on there. You see Cole Iserman, who I think the Flyers should have drafted, and
Yep. Yep.
and Jack Hughes and Devin Kaplan, who the Flyers drafted him, and Sasha Bodeman, who's going to be in this draft and be drafted
Yeah.
pretty high. There's just name after name after name, and Trishan Amante, who's not been drafted, but that's coming
Should
from
be.
good elk there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just big names and up and down this roster, and I think Penn State's gonna have their hands, the work cut out for them
That would be
for
putting it
sure.
mildly, I think. I think with the goalie matchups that they had with UConn, with UConn's ability to win the faceoffs, was really hindering Penn State. It was like, man, they couldn't even buy a faceoff win, and their speed. You know what I'm saying? They had really good speed, and I thought they were taking it to Penn State, and especially in the third period, and then in overtime, where they were spending a lot of time down in Penn State's end. And I'm going to tell you something, folks. If you play that way against Boston, you're going to get smoked.
Yeah.
Okay? Because I don't care how good Arseni is going to play. If you give that much offensive time to Boston University with the amount of talent that they have on that team, you're just going to get smoked. So you better come up with a better game plan, I think, for Boston University. You know what I'm saying? So, but I
Yeah, so
gotta
that's
say
going to
something.
be a true test. But then
Yeah,
you look at that other side of that semifinal matchup,
with
and
Denver and Western
you got
Michigan.
you got a team like Denver, and Denver, who we all know has that great coach, also has players like Jack Devine from Florida's stock here,
Yeah.
and Zeev Bonneman, who the Wild took, of course, and
And that was
just
somebody that we had coveted as well too. That we
right
really liked him, and we even tried to
name.
get him on the show. I think.
Yeah, name after name after name, and it's another team who is chocked full of already drafted talent. It's not a bunch of young kids that are inexperienced. These players have been drafted for a reason. They've been to NHL developmental camps and everything like that, and have put the work in to turn pro, which you've seen, recently when Denver just beat Boston College, and then Boston College immediately has, you know, players jumping to the NHL as early as tonight
Yeah. Yeah.
with guys. So it's gonna be special. I think Western Michigan's gonna have their hands, kind of tied there as far as
Yeah.
trying to match up to him. Alex Bump, with the Flyers, he's leading the team with goals this year with 23 and 47 points out of 40 games. So he's going to have to step up even more, I think. But I think generally they're going to be kind of outmatched. If I had to say, I would I would say Boston and Denver are going to be playing against each other in the finals, but you never know. Um, I'm
I mean,
hopeful
I
for
I
Penn
see where
State
you're
as
going.
well.
I mean, I see where you're going with that. You know what I mean? Um, I'm not gonna, like I'm not trying to be a homer here or anything like that. But what I am gonna say is this: I think I think Penn State is gonna match up to some extent. You know what I mean with Boston. It all depends on if Arsini can be a good solid game. If he has a good solid game and doesn't let a soft one in early or doesn't get one of them stupid fluky ones that flutters up over his head and bounces in, you know what I mean? I I'm with you, Lance. I really think they have a shot, but let's face it, Boston is just too stacked.
But Boston's stacked, but I mean, in saying that, Penn State's goaltending and their whole team is, I would say that it it's going to happen. They're going to get up probably in the game, and Aiden Fink and Matt DeMarsco are going to have to step up and be those players. I mean, Matt had 3 goals in the regional tournament, and one being
Yeah,
the OT winner, I think. So,
yes.
um, you know,
And
he
Finky
has the
had one.
capability. He has the
Finky only had one
capability as
point.
well. So, this is the team, the glue guys that have been there all year long. They're going to have to step up and really take on those bigger names and shut them down as well. They
Yep.
got to play. They got to play solid defense, and if they get down by a goal, they can't let that stress them and cause them to lose the game. Just because they got down early, they can't get down on themselves. They can fight back. We've seen that at times this season against good competition. It's just somebody that they don't normally play. So
Right. No, I'm with you. I'm with you. Okay. So I gotta say that it's going to be a really exciting Frozen Four. That's for sure. That puck drops April 10th is the
it's too long.
first.
It's too long away still.
I agree, but
I'm ready
then
for some more hockey after this
but
weekend. Man, that was some
yeah.
good hockey. I'm ready to see this semifinals and final game. This is crazy. We got to
What do
wait
you mean?
this long.
What do you mean March Madness? We're halfway into April before we get.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. But and then 2 days later they're going to play the championship game. You know what I mean? So it's going to be in St. Louis this year, and unfortunately we will not be able to make it to St. Louis this year. But I got to be honest with you, folks. Um, I was afforded a bucket list opportunity this past weekend to cover this game. I was at the press conference for the Yukon and the Maine game, and then I was at the press conference for the Penn State game. For both of those games, was at the press conference for those, and then got a chance to get to go into the locker room and got to see our boy Aiden. You know what I mean? And that was great to see him. And um, I would just like to say a big thank you to all the NCAA folks and all the folks there at the PPL Center, Bob Rotruck, Connor. Thank you to all you guys for getting us the information so that we could even apply for the credentials. We made a good friend of the show, I guess. Here is going to be Russ Cohen. We're going to try to get Russ on here and talk nothing but prospects. I mean, he is the guru of prospects, I guess you could call him. You know what I mean? So, by the way, you got to go follow him out there on Sportsology. So you got to go follow him and check out his website at sportsology.com. So be sure to go check out Russ Cohen. He also has a couple of great books out there too on Amazon.com. So be sure to go check them out as well. Lance, I can't even tell you. This was just an amazing experience all the way around. I mean, I'm with you. I'm gonna be like kind of chomping at the bit here a little bit because like man, I gotta wait another whole week before I can see some of this
Right.
hockey come to fruition. You know what I mean? Like so, wow, man.
Yeah,
All right.
it was kind of bittersweet too, with Penn State, the local team being able to be there and come out victorious. You always like to see that. I mean, I got a couple of gray hairs up here now, but I can remember when Penn State was just a club team, nothing more than a beer league team that was just playing, teams like UD and stuff like that,
Yeah, yeah.
um, and
There they are now.
getting stomped by UD, and now look at them going for a Division One championship, a chance to win one. So so proud of this organization to be able to come so far in such a short amount of time, and can't wait for these next couple of games here to see who comes out, the champion.
I mean, you really have to look at what Lance and I have been talking about over quite a few of our past shows, how the NCAA has just propelled itself into that upper echelon of talent with players that are either already drafted playing on those teams or players that are going to be drafted. Right? You're seeing even European players. I mean, Arseny Sergeyev is a perfect example, right? He is not from Happy Valley. Okay? Right? You know what I'm saying? Caleb Tung is not from, you get what I'm talking about,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Canadian,
So,
yeah.
but seeing the level of play elevating to the point now where these games are so competitive, and watching already drafted players and a lot of talent on these teams now playing it, I think it's gotten to the point now where the NCAA is kind of the place to go now. You know what I mean? Like, if you want to get to where you want to go, I think you need to make a stop at the NCAA.
Well, I mean, it's definitely one of them now. Like you said, they propelled themselves to be one of the top places to go, and and we talked about it before. Some of these colleges have better rinks, better facilities, better
Training.
training facilities, weight rooms,
Yeah,
everything better than the pros have.
yeah,
It's
yeah, yeah,
almost
yeah.
ridiculous. Um, some of these schools are prestigious and have been doing this for a long time, and it's an honor to play for some of these schools, and guys tend to not make the jump right away and stay back,
Stay. Yeah.
and finish school and everything like that, when perhaps they could turn pro a little bit sooner, and that's just what they're able to learn from there. A lot of these guys from the NCAA jump up, especially if they're from a bigger school, um, and immediately make it to the NHL. There's no AHL time needed
Yeah, I'm
a
with you.
lot of times, because these guys are just ready to go, and these coaches in these big NCAA programs have them that way. They're coach them up. They're professionals before they're professionals.
I agree with you 100%. All you had to do is look at when we got to sit down and talk to the student athletes, how they presented themselves, how they carried
Polished, yeah.
themselves. They were all very just, you know, ready with the answer, ready with, they would give it a little thought, and then but they, exactly what you said, Lance, they were very polished individuals, and it was great to see um, the talent that was just kind of, you know, in the building for that weekend. You know, the four teams that were there, and everything like that, and the amount of talent that was in that building was rather remarkable. And we just got to be really blessed and lucky to get the media credentials and be there to cover the games. So I'll tell you what, Lance, you got anything in the works there, buddy?
I definitely got some ideas being kicked around, kind of seeing what players may be available to speak to as well.
Well, now that seasons are coming to an end, yeah.
Yep. A lot of teams were in playoff races and everything like that. So kind of waiting for those to get done to be able to speak to some guys again. But we've been pretty lucky this year and covered a lot of individuals and had them on with us for sure. So thank you to all those teams too for making them available to speak to us. So.
That's the other thing too, Lance, is something that I would also like to say as well. Big, huge thank you to all the folks who allowed us to talk to players from your teams. It's great that we're able to start to establish a relationship with these teams and be able to say, oh yeah, we know who you are. You can interview whoever you want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's thanks to what you do, Lance. It's thanks to the articles that you write. It's thanks to the content that you bring to the table, your knowledge of the game, your knowledge of the prospects. I mean, that's part of what makes us go. You know what I'm saying? And man, I can't thank you enough for all you do here. You know what I'm saying? And also would like to say big props and thanks to AmFam for doing all the shorts for us, man. And he's now doing thumbnails and stuff for us too. So he's contributing
keeping him busy.
even more.
We're keeping him busy.
Keeping him busy and keeping his pockets full. That's for sure. You know what I mean? So once again, if you like what we do, please hit the like and subscribe. Thank you to the editor-in-chief, Mr. Lance Green. Thank you, sir.
No problem. Thank you, sir. We will catch you all on the next episode, guys. Thank you for tuning in.
All right. Catch you guys later.